Hello students, in this today's class we are going to discuss the fourth colligative property, that is the last colligative property, which is known as a osmotic pressure. Before going to the osmotic pressure, what is the definition of a osmosis? Osmosis, it is the spontaneous flow of a solvent molecules through the semi-permeable membrane. It is the spontaneous passage or flow of the solvent molecules through the semi-permeable membrane, which is represented as a SPM, from a pure solvent to the solution, otherwise from a dilute solution to the concentrated solution. This is a osmosis. Osmosis, it is a spontaneous phenomena of the passage of the solvent molecules through the semi-permeable membrane from a pure solvent into the solution, otherwise from a very dilute solution to a concentrated solution. The osmosis process, the osmosis phenomena will continue till both the concentrations are equal. Once both the concentrations are equal, then osmosis stops. Are you getting my point? Then osmosis stops. This osmosis is a basically bilateral process. That means from solution to the solvent, from the solvent to the solution, from both the directions the solvent molecules allowed to pass through the semi-permeable membrane. But the resultant, the net flow is always from a dilute solution to a concentrated solution, otherwise from a solvent to a solution. Are you getting my point? Let's suppose here we are taking one example. We are taking dilute solution and concentrated solution, and these two solutions are separated by a semi-permeable membrane. What is the SPM? That is called semi-permeable membrane. Now here if you see in this diagram, from a dilute solution to concentrated solution, the solvent will flow. Similarly, from the concentrated solution to the dilute solution also solvent molecules will flow. That's why it is called bilateral process. But the net flow is always from a dilute solution to a concentrated solution. Let's suppose on the left hand side C1 molar concentration, on the right hand side C2 molar concentration. Now we know already right side solution is more concentrated because that is a concentrated solution. Left side solution is a diluted solution. So during the osmosis what happens? The solvent molecules from the dilute solution, they pass into the concentrated solution through the semi-permeable membrane. Okay. Now in this phenomena what happens? After equilibrium established, both the concentrations become what? Equal. When both the solutions concentrations are become equal, then osmosis what happens? Stop. Osmosis become stop. Okay. Now the osmosis phenomena here two types. Number one, exo-osmosis. Number two, endo-osmosis. Exo-osmosis, it involves the outward flow of the solvent. Whereas in endo-osmosis involves the inward flow of solvent. Now, what is the semi-permeable membrane? What is the definition of a semi-permeable membrane? It is a membrane which allows only solvent molecules to pass through it, but not the solute molecules. That means the membrane which only allow the solvent molecules to pass through it, but it could not allow the solute molecules. Such type of membrane is known as a semi-permeable membrane. That membrane is known as a semi-permeable membrane. The membrane which allows only solvent molecules to pass through it, but not the solute molecules. Here there are two types of a semi-permeable membrane. Number one, natural semi-permeable membrane. Number two, artificial semi-permeable membrane. Natural semi-permeable membrane, the best example animal membrane like pig's bladder, animal bladder. Okay, skin round of a boiled egg. After boiling of egg, around the white egg, boiled egg, there is a skin, that skin is behave like a semi permeable membrane. Next, cell membrane, cell wall, cell membrane. Okay. Now some example regarding the artificial semi permeable membranes. Example, cupric ferrocyanide. The molecular formula will be Cu2FeCN taken 6, cupric ferrocyanide. Next, calcium phosphate, that is the Ca3PO4 taken twice. These two are called inorganic salts, inorganic precipitates. Inorganic precipitates. These are the two good examples for artificial semi-permeable membrane. Apart from these two, some other examples also there. Silicates of iron, cobalt, nickel, parchment paper, cellophane paper. These are the some imported artificial semi-permeable membranes. So finally, what is the definition of a semi-permeable membrane? It is the membrane which allows only solvent molecules to pass through it, but not the solute molecules. There are two types of semi-permeable membrane. Number one, natural semi-permeable membrane. Number two, artificial semi-permeable membrane. Okay. Now, what is the definition of a osmotic pressure? What is the definition of a osmotic pressure? This osmotic pressure is represented by the symbol pi. Okay. Now, what is the definition of a osmotic pressure? The equilibrium hydrostatic pressure developed by the solution column when it is separated from the solvent by a semi-permeable membrane. Are you getting my point? That means when a solvent and a solution get separated by a semi-permeable membrane, then what happens? Solvent molecules, they pass through the semi-permeable membrane into the solution, due to which in the solution column the pressure developed is a hydrostatic pressure. This hydrostatic pressure is referred as a osmotic pressure of the solution, OP. The shortcut of osmotic pressure is the OP. Okay. It is a equilibrium hydrostatic pressure developed by the solution column when it is separated from a solvent through semi-permeable membrane. That means when a semi-permeable membrane separate both solvent as well as the solution, then the solvent molecules flow into the solution, due to which in the solution there will be some hydrostatic pressure developed. This hydrostatic pressure is known as a osmotic pressure pi. Okay. The another definition regarding the osmotic pressure: the pressure required to applied on the solution to just stop the inflow of a solvent molecules into the solution when solution and solvent get separated by the semi-permeable membrane. Are you getting my point? That means, let's suppose here this is a container. Okay. In this container, what happens? Solution is present and also pure solvent is present, and both solution solvent are get separated by whom? Semi-permeable membrane. Generally, what is the definition of osmosis? The inflow of a solvent molecules from the solvent to into the solution. That means the pure liquid will try to pass into the solution through the semi-permeable membrane, due to which in the solution column what happens? Some pressure developed which is called hydrostatic pressure. Now what I am doing here, I am applying some pressure on the solution, on the surface of a solution by using the piston, so that the osmosis will become stopped. That means whatever the solvent flow into the solution, now the solvent try to return back into the solution. The solvent try to return back into the pure solvent, not solution, into the pure solvent. That means how much of pressure developed in the solution, if we apply the same amount of pressure on the, how much of pressure developed in the solution, if we apply the same amount of pressure on the surface of a solution, so that the osmosis gets stopped, that applied pressure is known as a osmotic pressure. That applied pressure is known as a what? Osmotic pressure. Are you getting my point? Now here, let's suppose we are assuming one solution taken in the beaker. It is a beaker in which solution is present. Are you getting my point? Just wait. In the beaker, we are taking the solvent molecules, only solvent molecules. Now this is a Thissell funnel. This will be a Thissell funnel. In this Thistle funnel, we are taking some solution. Let's suppose we are taking the sugar solution. Which solution? Sugar solution. This Thistle funnel, at the bottom of the Thistle funnel, we are covering the bottom of the Thistle funnel with the help of a rubber band by semi-permeable membrane. That means the funnel at the one side of the Thistle funnel, SPM, semi-permeable membrane, was covered with the help of a rubber band. Are you getting my point? Now in the Thistle funnel we are using which solution? Sugar solution. Now this Thistle funnel kept in the beaker, kept in a where? Beaker. In this beaker containing water. In beaker what is present? Water is present. Are you getting my point? Now due to osmosis what happens? The solvent inflow into the solution. Yes, the solvent molecules here, the solvent molecules try to pass into the solution through semi-permeable membrane. Yes or no? When the solvent flow into the solution through the semi-permeable membrane, this phenomenon is known as what? Osmosis. Due to the osmosis, if you see in the diagram, the solution column increases. The solution column what happens? Increases. Let's suppose the height of the solution column, it is assumed to be h. It is assumed to be what? H. That means h distance the solvent inflow into the solution. So how much of height rises the solution in the Thistle funnel? H. So let's suppose h is the height of the column of the solution. Now what is the density of a solution? Let's suppose d, and the gravitational force will be the g. So we know pressure P is equal to HdG. Here pressure nothing but the osmotic pressure, pi is equal to HdG, where h is the height of the column, d density of the solution, g gravitational force or acceleration due to gravity. Generally pressure will be expressed in the atmosphere. We know 1 atmosphere will be equal to how many pascals? 1.01325 into 10 to the power 5 Pascal. Do you know Pascal nothing but Newton per meter square. 1 Pascal is nothing but Newton per meter square. Okay. Now we know 1 bar will be equal to 10 to the power 5 Pascal. 10 to the power 5 Pascal. Yes or no? Now here one more formula is there to calculate the osmotic pressure, that is called pi is equal to CRT. Pi is equal to what? CRT, where C is the molar concentration of the solution, that is the sugar solution. And what is the R value? Gas constant. It is a universal gas constant. And what is the T? T is the absolute temperature, nothing but the Kelvin temperature. Okay, these are the two important formula which are very useful to calculate the osmotic pressure. Okay, now what is the reverse osmosis? Already I told you here, if you apply more than the osmotic pressure, more than the atmospheric pressure on the solution side, then from the solution side the solvent molecule they return back into the solvent. That means this is the reverse direction. Generally the solvent molecules inflow into the solution, but what I am doing here, I am applying more pressure that is greater than the osmotic pressure. Then what happens? The solvent inflow from the solution to the solvent. This phenomena is called reverse osmosis. It is the process. If the pressure applied on the solution side will be greater than the osmotic pressure, then the solvent molecules from the solution they move into the solvent side. This process is called reverse osmosis process. In this reverse osmosis process, what we can do, we can purify the seawater. We can purify the seawater to get the pure drinking water. This is called desalination. This is called what? Desalination. Let's suppose in this diagram, if you see on the right hand side, we have the seawater. That means water containing the salt. Are you getting my point? Now what we are doing, generally on the left hand side fresh water is there, so solvent water, so molecules pass through the solution. This is called osmosis. Okay, through the semi-permeable membrane. But on the solution side we are applying some pressure with the help of a piston. The pressure will be already greater than the osmotic pressure. That means what happens? The solvent will inflow from the solution towards solvent, due to which only solvent molecules pass through the semi-permeable membrane. On the right hand side, salt will be left. Salt will be left because salt is a solute which do not penetrate through the semi-permeable membrane. Only water, otherwise solvent, can penetrate through the semi-permeable membrane. So that's why the pure water will be collected in the left side container. This phenomena is called desalination. What is this? Desalination. This is the purification of seawater by the phenomena of reverse osmosis. By the phenomenon of what? Reverse osmosis. And one more important thing, in the osmotic pressure calculation, pi is equal to CRT. Are you getting my point? In the pi is equal to CRT expression, what are the units we have to take regarding the concentration, gas constant, absolute temperature, and osmotic pressure? Okay. First of all, pi is a osmotic pressure. What is the Celsius unit? Dyne per centimeter square. What is the SI unit? Just now I told you Pascal or Newton per meter square. But general unit we are using the atmosphere. What is the general unit for the osmotic pressure? Atmosphere. Now what is the C? C is the molarity, molar concentration. So moles per milliliter Celsius units, moles per meter cube SI unit. Normal unit we will take mole per liter, moles per liter. Now what is the capital R value? We know gas constant, universal gas constant in the Celsius unit 8.314 into 10 to the power 7 ergs per mole per Kelvin. What is the R value in the SI unit? 8.314 joule per Kelvin and per mole. Okay. Now what is the R value in the liter atmosphere? We know 0.0821 liter atm mole inverse and Kelvin inverse. Okay. Now what is the SI unit for temperature? Kelvin. Even in the Celsius unit also we are taking Kelvin, and normal unit is also Kelvin. So temperature always in the Kelvin. And what is the volume in the Celsius unit? Centimeter cube or milliliter. SI unit will be meter cube. Common unit will be the liter. And what is the M? Molecular weight of the solute. Molar mass of a solute. What is the M here? M stands for molar mass of non-volatile solute. Okay. Molar mass of a non-volatile solute. Now in Celsius unit gram per mole, in SI unit kg per mole, normal unit we are using gram per mole. Are you getting my point? Gram per mole. Gram per mole. So here, what is the Van 't Hoff theory of dilute solution? Van 't Hoff theory of dilute solution. Now here, in a very dilute solution, the solute behaves like a ideal gas. That means whatever the gas laws applicable to ideal gases, now that laws also applicable to very dilute solution. Because in a dilute solution, in a dilute solution, solute behaves like a ideal gas. In a very dilute solution, solute behaves like a ideal gas. That's why whatever the laws applicable for gases, now the same laws are applicable to dilute solutions also. This is known as Van 't Hoff theory of dilute solution. Once again I am repeating, in a dilute solution, the solute behaves like a ideal gas. That's why whatever the laws that are applicable to ideal gases now also applicable for dilute solutions. This is the concept of Van 't Hoff. Okay. Now Van 't Hoff Boyle's law. According to Boyle's law, Van 't Hoff Boyle's law different from the Boyle's law. According to Boyle's law, pressure is inversely proportional to volume keeping the temperature constant. Yes or no? This is the Boyle's law. But this is the Van 't Hoff Boyle's law, according to which again same constant temperature. At constant temperature, instead of pressure, now we are using the osmotic pressure. Osmotic pressure of a dilute solution is directly proportional to its concentration. Osmotic pressure directly proportional to molar concentration. Concentration nothing but number of moles. Concentration nothing but number of moles upon volume of a solution in liter. Yes or no? So instead of concentration, shall I write number of moles upon volume of the solution in liters? So that's why instead of concentration, I am writing N by V. Now the second one, Van 't Charles law. According to Van 't Charles law, at the constant concentration, if the concentration of a solution is constant, then the osmotic pressure is directly proportional to the absolute temperature. Directly proportional to the absolute temperature. Are you getting my point? That means osmotic pressure is directly proportional to what? Absolute temperature. Here temperature in the first case constant. Here concentration is constant. Concentration is constant. From the equation 1 and equation 2, if you compare both the equations, pi directly proportional to C into T. So by removing the proportionality, I am writing a proportionality constant S. So phi is equal to CST, where S is nothing but the solution constant. What is the S here? Solution constant. Sometimes we can take it is as a gas constant also, because just now I told you, so in a dilute solution the solute behaves like a ideal gas. So that's why the solution constant S nothing but the gas constant R. Okay. Now what is the concentration value? Number of moles upon volume in liter. By cross multiplication we can write pi V is equal to NST. Now it is in instead of S, shall I write the R value, gas constant? So this is in the form of PV is equal to nRT. Yes, it is an ideal gas expression. PV is equal to nRT, but here pi V is equal to nRT. This is corresponding to osmotic pressure of a very dilute solution. Very dilute solution. What is the pi here? Osmotic pressure. Volume of the solution V. R value is a gas constant and T value absolute temperature, where N is the number of moles. How to find the number of moles? Given mass upon molar mass. Now the value of S is a solution constant, which is nothing but the gas constant. The value will be 0.0821 liter atm per mole per Kelvin. Remember, solution constant value, gas constant value, both are same. Remember. Okay. Now suppose if the solute undergoing ionization, then the iota Van 't factor greater than 1, and in case of association iota less than 1. For such purpose we have to introduce the iota value. So actually pi is equal to CST or CRT, but now we are introducing the iota I. So finally we can write pi is equal to ICST, or pi is equal to IC. Instead of S, shall write the R, universal gas constant. Otherwise PV is equal to nRT. I am writing N INRT. Are you getting my point? Because here I is a iota Van 't factor, which we have to include here. Okay. Now according to the osmotic pressure, there are three different types of solutions. Number 1, isotonic solutions. Number 2, hypotonic solutions. Number 3, hypertonic solutions. What is the meaning of isotonic solution? This is a very important question. Okay. At a constant temperature, if two solutions have the same osmotic pressure, when the two solutions having the same osmotic pressure at a constant temperature, the two solutions are known as a isotonic solutions. The necessary condition for a two solution to be isotonic, their osmotic pressure must be equal. This will be only at constant temperature, where when the temperature is constant, if the two solutions have the same osmotic pressure, then the two solutions are known as a isotonic solutions. Yes or no? The best example, blood, that is the RBC, it is isotonic with the saline, that is nothing but 0.91% weight by volume NaCl. Otherwise in terms of molarity, 0.16 molar NaCl. That means the osmotic pressure in the RBC, that is the red blood cells, whereas the osmotic pressure of a 0.91% W by V NaCl, both are equal. Are you getting my point? That's why when a person injured in an accident, okay, due to accident, what happens? There will be a loss of blood. So immediately the person was admitted into the hospital by injecting the saline. Why? Because the saline maintains the osmotic pressure which is equal to the RBC. The osmotic pressure of NaCl will balance the osmotic pressure of a blood. Are you getting my point? Due to blood loss during the accident, the osmotic pressure will decreases, which is maintained by the saline. The necessary condition for isotonic solutions, pi 1 is equal to pi 2. Okay. Now already I explained here, pi is equal to ICST. Okay. Now temperature is constant, gas constant is also constant, so IC, pi directly proportional to I into C. So I am taking I1C1 and I2C2. Are you getting my point? What is the concentration formula? Number of moles upon volume in liter. Okay. Now when the osmotic pressure of two solutions are compared at the same temperature, the solution whose osmotic pressure will be less is called hypotonic solution, and the solution whose osmotic pressure will be higher is called hypertonic. Hypertonic means higher osmotic pressure. Hypotonic means lower osmotic pressure. Yes or no? What are hypotonic solution? The solution possessing lower osmotic pressure. The solution whose osmotic pressure will be less. That means osmotic pressure will be less means concentration will be less, because we know osmotic pressure directly proportional to concentration, keeping the temperature constant. Yes or no? Keeping the temperature constant. And what are the hypertonic solution? Those solution whose osmotic pressure will be higher, indirectly more concentrated solution. Less concentrated solution hypotonic, and more concentrated solution hypertonic. Yes or no? Now when these two solutions are separated by a semi-permeable membrane, the net flow of a solvent molecules always from a hypotonic to hypertonic. Why hypotonic to hypertonic? In hypotonic less concentration, whereas in hypertonic more concentration. Solvent will always flow from a lower concentration to the higher concentration. Let's suppose we are comparing the three solutions. First solution is what? Isotonic solution. Let's suppose I am taking the RBC, that is the red blood cells. The RBC, that is the RBC red blood cells, now kept in the 0.91% of NaCl solution. Okay. So this is the ideal condition. Here isotonic solution means both the 0.91% NaCl and RBC will have same osmotic pressure. So there will be no any net flow of solvent. Okay. That means here no osmosis. But same RBC, when it is kept in the solution of NaCl which is less than 0.91%, that means the NaCl solution, here the NaCl solution is a dilute solution. RBC indirectly concentrated, then we know solvent always flow from a dilute to concentrated. Due to inflow of a solvent into the RBC, the size of a RBC expand. This is the normal size of the RBC. This is the expanded size of the RBC. When the RBC size will be expands, the RBC will what happens? Swells. When the RBC size expands, RBC swells, or sometimes it may be burst. The RBC may be burst. This phenomena is called hemolysis. The inflow of a solvent into the RBC, due to which the size of RBC increases, that means cell bulges. Cell what happens? Bulges. When the cell bulges, it may undergo burst also. This phenomena is called hemolysis. Otherwise, one more case is there. Suppose if the RBC kept in a concentrated solution, more concentrated solution, that means if the RBC placed in the greater than 0.91% W by V NaCl, that means here the NaCl solution is a concentrated solution. When the NaCl is a concentrated solution, then from the RBC the solvent flow outward direction. Solvent will flow outward direction. When the solvent flow outward direction, that is called exoosmosis. When solvent flow inward direction, that is called endoosmosis. Due to exoosmosis, the size of RBC decreases. It is a normal size of the RBC, it is the expanded size of the RBC, it is a contracted size of the RBC. The RBC size shrinks. The RBC size what happened? Shrinks. This phenomena is called plasmolysis. Hemolysis, the size of RBC increase. Plasmolysis, the size of RBC decrease, and both are dangerous. Both are dangerous. Yes or no? What are the applications of the osmotic pressure phenomena? First of all, it is very useful to calculate the molar mass of a non-volatile solute. The main concept of the colligative properties to calculate the molar mass of a non-volatile solute. We know pi v is equal to INRT. Okay, here what I am writing here, molecular weight. How to find the molecular weight here? W by GMW, that is the number of moles. How to find the number of moles? Given mass divided by molar mass. Yes or no? So after getting the given mass upon molar mass, after getting the number of moles, with the help of number of moles, shall I find the molar mass of a non-volatile solute? Yes. Number 2, in the reverse osmosis, already I told you, purification of a sea water. Okay, to determine the molar mass of a biomolecules, macromolecules, huge molecules like proteins, polymers, macromolecules, enzymes, also we can determine the molar mass with the help of osmotic pressure. Okay, when the RBC placed in the hypertonic solution, that is a more concentrated solution, what happens? The size of RBC will be shrinks and it will undergo contraction. This is called plasmolysis. When the RBC placed in the hypotonic solution, that is called less concentrated solution, the cell what happens? Swells up. That means bulges. Cell what happens? Bulges. When cell bulges, cell expands. What happens? That phenomena is called what? Hemolysis. Hemolysis, plasmolysis, both are dangerous. Both are dangerous. Now one more question here. Why osmotic pressure of a colligative property is better for the calculation of a molar mass of a non-volatile solute? Out of the all 4 colligative property, that is the relative lowering of vapor pressure, elevation in the boiling point, depression in the freezing point, and fourth one, osmotic pressure, which is best method regarding the molar mass of a non-volatile solute calculation. Why? Okay, there are 3 important regions are there. The first region, in the elevation of boiling point method, for example, biomolecules like proteins, enzymes, these are not suitable because when we are heating the biomolecules, these biomolecules are not stable at high temperature. They undergo decomposition. This is the great advantage of the osmotic pressure colligative property over the other colligative properties, because osmotic pressure can be calculated even at the room temperature also. Osmotic pressure calculations can be done at room temperature also. So at room temperature we can find the molar mass of a biomolecules like proteins, enzymes. Are you getting my point? But elevation concept, that means at high temperature biomolecules are not stable, they decompose. That is the first advantage of osmotic pressure calculations. The second advantage, osmotic pressure has the advantage because it is using the molarity. You see in the concept, in the formula of osmotic pressure, pi is equal to CRT or CST, where C is called molarity. The unit for molarity nothing but moles per liter. But in the other colligative property, where we use the concentration, molality. We use the concentration molality. Are you getting my point? So this is also second advantage. And the third advantage will be the magnitude of the osmotic pressure will be very high as compared to the other colligative properties. That means when we are calculating the osmotic pressure value, which is very high as compared to the other colligative properties like elevation in the boiling point, depression in the freezing point, or osmotic or otherwise relative lowering of vapor pressure. Okay. The next application is preservation of the jams, jellies, and pickles by adding the excess of sugar or salt. Okay. Now here when the sugar or salt is excess added, what happens during the osmosis phenomena? What happens? The presence of a concentrated solution, the cells of microbes undergo shrink due to the exoosmosis, due to which the pickles will be stored for a long time. Are you getting my point?